Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to see current affairs of 8th July 2021. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 6 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC. So let's get started with our discussion and let us see first topic. Title says new platform maps Pegasus spread. So this article mainly talking about is Pegasus. So what is this Pegasus? Pegasus, it is a spyware. So recently from 2019 onwards, this Pegasus is seen highly in news. So what happened in 2019? So we are using this WhatsApp, right? So in this WhatsApp, we got a new feature like video calls. So this video call feature mainly used by this Pegasus, and it is doing some call, and if we are attending that call, then our phone will get access to those people who are using this Pegasus. So this Pegasus, it is a spyware. So because of that, what happened? So there are number of Pegasus cases that had led to rise throughout the world. So because of this article mainly saying that, so this Pegasus also have a role in Bhima Koregaon case also. So in yesterday's lecture, we studied about this, what is this Bhima Koregaon case. So this Bhima Koregaon case mainly dates back to 2018. So why 2018? Because January 1st, 2018, which mainly marks 200th anniversary of this Bhima Koregaon battle. So this battle, which is mainly between British and as well as Bajirao II. Okay, so there is Bajirao II, who is Peshwa. Okay, so this battle between Britishers and Peshwa Bajirao II. So what happened here? These Britishers are mainly helped by this Dalit, right? So what happened in this battle? British won as victory. So because of this event mainly celebrated on January 1st of 2018. It marks 200th anniversary of this battle. So in this event, there are some violations that have happened, that is violence, and there are many activists they mainly arrested. So recently this case which is in news because 2 activists who are arrested under that case, 2 are dead in custody. So because of this was in news, and yesterday we discussed about this topic in a very great detail. So if you have missed yesterday's lecture, so please go back to yesterday's lecture and watch for important details of this battle. So here we are going to focus on this Pegasus spyware. So now let us try to see what is the relationship between this Pegasus and as well as this Bhima Koregaon case. So this article will be important regarding security, which mainly comes under GS paper 3, and this topic will be important from prelims and as well as mains point of view. And if you are talking about this Bhima Koregaon case, that will be important from modern history, which mainly comes under GS paper 1. Okay, so now let us try to see context first. So if you see context, it mainly says that an online database on spyware Pegasus use was recently launched. Okay, so this mainly launched by Forensic Architecture, Amnesty International and Citizen Lab, mainly to document attacks against human rights defenders. So mainly people are using, or attackers, they are mainly using this Pegasus mainly to create some human rights violations. Okay, so this is the database which mainly launched by Forensic Architecture, that is Amnesty International and Citizen Lab. So you have to remember this will be important for your prelims. So now let us try to see some details. Amnesty said that interactive platform, it is a digital violence, how the NSO group enables state terror, showed the connection between digital violence and Pegasus spyware. So this Pegasus spyware mainly, it is one of new inventions or new discoveries of this NSO group, and it is an Israel based organization. So here this is one of a state sponsored terror, we can say like that. So here this platform mainly says that how this NSO group enables state terror showed the connections between digital violence and as well as this Pegasus spyware, and that led to real world harms mainly regarding activists, lawyers and other civil society figures. So in this context, Amnesty mainly said that this NSO group, which is Israel based group, which makes this spyware, and it acted as a major player in shadow surveillance company. And Pegasus had been used in some of the most insidious digital attacks in human rights activists across the world. And investigations mainly says that this digital domain became a new frontier of human rights violation, and it became one important site of state surveillance which led to intimidation and as well as physical violence in real space. So this report mainly found that targets of spyware in India, which include activists, for example, Bela Bharati and as well as Anand Telamte, so they are mainly arrested under this Bhima Koregaon case. And in 2020, this spyware was used on this 9 human rights defenders who are accused in this Bhima Koregaon case. So there is a relationship between this spyware and as well as this Bhima Koregaon case. So now let us try to see some facts regarding what is this Pegasus. So this is a spyware developed by Israeli cyber arms firm, that is an NSO Group Technologies. And this spyware mainly used to exploit links. Okay, whenever they are clicking any link which is mainly sent, then this spyware will be installed, this Pegasus, on the target phones, and this phone access will be get into the hands of those people. And next one is Syrian lab, which has investigated several cases of Pegasus infections, and it mainly found that social engineering is a very common strategy mainly followed by this Pegasus. And Pegasus mainly exploiting vulnerabilities in phones operating systems. So these are some important things that you need to remember regarding this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says Taliban attack Afghan provincial capital. So this article mainly talking about Taliban's attack at this Afghanistan's provincial capital. So why? So you need to go back to basics. So already in our yesterday's or day before yesterday's lecture, we studied about who are these Taliban and how these Taliban they mainly originated. Okay, everything we discussed in a very great detail. So if you are following our channel daily, then there will be nothing will be missed, because we are already discussing whatever the basics which is required to understand that topic in a very great detail. So overall this topic will be important regarding GS paper 2 under international relations. Okay, so if you are talking about this topic, we need to go back to Afghan peace deal. So as you all know, this Afghan peace deal mainly signed between government of USA and Taliban. Okay, so what happened in this agreement here, USA mainly said that it is going to withdraw its troops from Afghanistan by September 11th, 2021. So there is complete withdrawal of these troops of USA will be seen by this 11th September 2021. It marks 20 years of anniversary of this Twin Tower attacks. So what happened? So to keep this promise, US mainly withdraw its troops from Afghanistan. So because of this, what happened now? Taliban got enough space mainly to spread its presence, right? So what happened because of this Taliban, which is mainly attacking government of Afghanistan. So these are some important things that you remember, that you need to remember. And now let us move on to what is this article mainly talking about. So if you see context, it mainly says that Taliban launched a major assault on provincial capital in Afghanistan since US military began its final drawdown of troops from country. So US which is come up with this withdrawal of its troops from Afghanistan, and on the other side Taliban gaining much more strength and it is expanding, right? And Taliban launched a major assault on provincial capital of Afghanistan. So if you see some more details, it mainly says that here fierce fighting erupted in western city of Kalani now. So it is a mainly capital of Baghdad. Okay, so here what happened after Washington announced that US forces had completed more than 90% of their withdrawal from Afghanistan. So after this, Taliban conducted this attack. So here you need to remember that what will be future of Afghanistan. So I want to give you some perspectives. So you need to think about what will be future of Afghanistan and how it impacts India. So So these are the two important things that you need to do some research and that you need to think here. So what will be future after complete withdrawal of US troops? So what can be done in this situation to maintain peace and tranquility in this Afghanistan region, and how it impacts India? Okay, so these are some dimensions you need to think about. And now let us move on to next topic. Title says IMF chief warns US inflation risk. So here you need to think about what is inflation. So number of times we discussed about this inflation. So inflation means, in general terms, we can say there is increase in prices of goods and services in market. So in market, what happened? There is goods and services prices that will be increased in market. So if we are talking about different types, we are having three types. First one is demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, and as well as a built-in inflation. Okay, so this is about some brief introduction regarding inflation. So if you see why there is a chance of inflation in US, so you need to think about this. So as we all know, because of this COVID-19 pandemic, so there is disruption of economies not only in India but also across world. So because of this, to push demand and for economic revival, so recently US new government, that is Biden government, came up with a number of fiscal support. Okay, so for example, we can say here Biden's multi-trillion-dollar plans, for example, to boost spending on infrastructure and as well as childcare, community college tuitions, and also he expanded coverage of home care for elderly and as well as disabled. So whenever government which is increasing spending, it is well and good. It will drive growth. Okay, it will drive growth of economy and as well as it will helpful for demand revival in market for sure. Because whenever people having money in market only, they will go to market and they will order something or they will demand for goods and services. Further, it will lead to increase in production or increase in manufacturing, and that will drive the growth, right? So what happened? One more important cause of concern here is whenever government it is going for increase in spending, so people have money more in their hands, right? So more money in hands of people. So that what happened? They will also lead to inflation. Okay. So this is the important thing that you need to remember. So this is some background. So now let us try to see what is the context. So if you see context, it mainly says that IMF, which mainly stands for International Monetary Fund, which mainly sent further physical support to physical support in US. So mainly to focus on economic growth and mainly for revival of economy. So US government came up with some physical stimulus or physical support. So because of this fiscal support, here IMF mainly says that or predicts that will lead to inflation. Okay, so IMF mainly warned USA there is risk of sustained rise in price of goods and services that could require raising interest rates than expected. So here again one link you have to remember. So what is link between inflation and here government spending? So already we discussed it. And what is a link between inflation and interest rate? So if you're talking about scenario in India we are having RBI, that is Central Bank of India, right? So here RBI will come up with monetary policy. So in this monetary policy we are having qualitative measures and as well as quantitative measures, right? So if you're talking about these measures, they are mainly focusing like how to control or they will target inflation in India. So if you're talking about especially interest rates, so whenever interest rates are decreased, that means there is increase in money supply in market, such that what happened, that will lead to revival of our economy. So whenever there is interest rate which is increased, so whenever interest rate increased means there is decrease in supply of money in market. So because of this, what happened, it will also controls inflation. So whenever there is increase in money supply in market, that will leads to inflation, right? And whenever there is decrease in money supply in market, that will also control inflation. So whenever interest rate decrease, that means expansionary monetary policy. So you have to remember this terminology. So you need to understand how we are connecting USA with India. Okay. So here whenever interest rate which is decreased, that will comes under expansionary monetary policy. It is also called as accommodative monetary policy. And if you are talking whenever we are going for increase in interest rate, this is called as contractive monetary policy, or we can say tightening of monetary policy. Tightening of monetary policy means we are decreasing or we are trying to sucking money supply in market, excess money. Okay, so this is about what is the relationship between interest rate and money supply and inflation, and as well as government spending. So I hope you understand this concept. It is very clear now, right? So if you are coming back and if you are seeing context here IMF, International Monetary Fund, mainly warning US that whenever we are going for increase in government spending much, then that will also leading to some cause of concern is inflation. Inflation may be increased. Okay. So here IMF says that mainly to control this inflation, now we need to go for increasing interest rate in USA. So this is context. So if you see some details, it mainly says that higher US interest rates that could lead to a sharp tightening of global financial conditions and significant capital outflows from emerging and as well as developing nations. So here IMF, which is mainly suggesting US to increase interest rates, that will lead to tightening of global fiscal conditions also, and also that will be having impact on significantly regarding capital outflows from emerging and as well as developing economies. And if you see criticism regarding this is here Joe Biden's administration mainly came up with recent multi-trillion-dollar plans. So this is the one of criticism mainly made by IMF. So IMF mainly criticizing this Joe Biden's policy of multi-trillion-dollar plans. So whenever there is large amount of infusion of money into market, that will lead to inflation. So to control this inflation, we need to come up with increasing of interest rates. Okay. So this multi-trillion-dollar plans regarding to boost spending on infrastructure and as well as childcare, community college tuitions, and also expanded coverage of home care for elderly and as well as disabled. So what is significant? So why we need to talk about this? So whenever there is increase in cost or prices of this food prices, so there are number of people who are below poverty line, and there are number of people who are in verge of poverty because of this COVID-19. So because of this increase in price, that is in short inflation, so it mainly keeps millions of people at risk of food insecurity. So whenever there is insecurity of food, that will lead to further more problems, and as well as government need to increase its spending mainly on malnutrition related things. Okay, so this is the thing, it is mainly said in this topic. And now let us try to focus on some important facts regarding this IMF. So IMF mainly stands for International Monetary Fund. So it is an international organization of 189 member countries, and each of which has representation on IMF Executive Board. So if you are talking about objectives, we need to note some keywords. So first one is to foster global monetary cooperation and to secure financial stability of countries and to facilitate international trade and to promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, and also to decrease poverty around the world. So these are 5 important objectives of this International Monetary Fund. And if you're talking about functions, there are 3 important functions of this IMF. So first one is to provide fiscal assistance or financial assistance to member countries who are facing with balance of payment problems or balance of payment crisis. Even in 1991, when we are facing this balance of payment crisis, we approached IMF, and IMF gave fund to India. In return, it mainly asked for reforms. So because of this, we came up with this liberalization, privatization, globalization, reforms or economic reforms in India. And second important function here is IMF surveillance. IMF mainly monitors the economic and as well as financial policies of its 189 member countries, and also focuses on this capacity development also regarding providing some technical assistance and as well as training. So these are some important functions. They are mainly mainly which are mandated to this IMF. So this is gist of this topic. I hope it's clear. And now let us try to move on to next topic. Title says Fitch cuts GDP growth estimates to 10% on slower recovery. So this article mainly talking about GDP growth estimates of India, and this is mainly done by one important international credit rating agency, that is Fitch. So again this topic will be important regarding GS paper 3 under economy. Now let us try to see this topic in a very great detail. If you see context, it mainly says that Fitch Ratings has cut its projection for India's real GDP growth in 2021 to 22, that is to 10%. So earlier it came up with projection of 12.8% and now it downgraded to 10%. So it mainly citing there is a reasons like slow economic recovery because of renewed COVID-19 restrictions, and also warned that medium-term growth hopes about 6.5%. So if it also said that here medium-term growth it is about 6.5%. So now we are mainly number of business they are suffering a lot, and as well as consumer activity decreased and demand in market also decreased here. Okay, so because of this global pandemic we are seeing economic crisis in our India, not only India but across the world here. So now here Fitch mainly came up with GDP estimates of 10% now. So if you see some more details, so this rating agency also warned that bank asset quality challenges are also increased. There is also risk like increasing in NPS, non-performing assets also, and there is also have increased, and that will remain under threat due to mobility restrictions and as well as medical exigencies and rising job losses, and also MSMEs they are mainly shut down, and retail loans to low and moderate income borrowers are mostly likely are at risk now. So why this downgrading? Because of this global pandemic, in this second phase again we went for imposition of a lockdown, and again we went for night curfews and as well as movement restrictions, and for people in this second wave especially rural areas and as well as low and middle income families, they hit a lot, and there is increase in their health expenditure because of this global pandemic induced hospital admissions, and as well as because of the shutdown of many industries or many companies. Because of this, that led to rising of unemployment also, and there is job loss, no income security, and MSMEs they all went for shutdown because of there is no support. Okay, and the retail loans which are mainly taken by low and moderate income families, they are at highly risk now. There is also one important thing, like there may be rise in NPS also. Okay, so these are the things that are mainly led to decreasing or downgrading of growth projections in India to 10%. So other reasons here mainly cited is because of localized lockdowns that led to lockdown induced recession in those areas, and because of the shutdown of economy that led to contraction of economy, and even RBI policy rate which is mainly focusing on short term but not long term. So because of this, that limited decline in inflation. Okay, so these are the some important things which are mainly leading to downgrading of GDP growth estimates by Fitch. So now let us focus on some facts regarding this. What is this Fitch? So it is American big credit rating agency along with the two big credit rating agencies like Standard & Poor and as well as Moody's. So if you talk about this Fitch, it is one among the three nationally recognized statistical rating organization, in short NRSRO. Okay, nationally recognized statistical rating organization. So which mainly designated in 1975 by US Securities and Exchange Commission. Headquarters located at New York and also London. So these are some important things that you need to remember. And now let us focus on next topic. Title says challenging negative social norms. So this topic, it is very much important regarding GS paper 2 and GS paper 1 under society. So this article mainly talking about what are the negative social norms we are facing and what are the challenges and what can be done. So why this article is in news? Because on July 11th, it is a World's Population Day. So in this population day, we are mainly focusing on what are the problems which are mainly faced by adolescent girls and women. Okay, so this is one of important areas which are favorite areas of UPSC, actually girls and as well as women related issues. Okay, so this topic is very important, and this topic gave a number of insights regarding problems which are mainly faced by girls and as well as women. So now let us try to discuss this topic in a very great detail. So if you see context why it is in news, because World's Population Day on July 11th. So this World's Population Day mainly shows some positive news like India entered demographic sweet spot, because more than 2/3 of people, they are mainly present in working population, that is mainly they contains working group people. Okay, so because of this we can also say is that India entered this demographic sweet spot, and this will continue another 2 to 3 decades, that is 20 to 30 years, because half of India's population, that is more than half of India's population which is under 29 years of age. So these people will contribute a lot for our India's economic and as well as social progress. So in this context, what can be done? So we need healthy people, we need knowledgeable, skilled people, and we need to ensure that rights and choices of these people, they need to be utilized by themselves to develop to their full potential. That include sexual health and as well as reproductive rights. In short, it is called as SRHR. So this article mainly focusing on this sexual health and we can say sexual health and reproductive rights, SHRR. Okay, so if you're talking about the sexual health and reproductive rights, so according to Good Mature Lancet Commission, so we are facing number of issues regarding the sexual health and reproductive rights. For example, violence against women and as well as stigma. We can also see that no one is respecting bodily autonomy of women, and because of this, finally that is leading to impact on psychological, emotional and social well-being of individuals. So if you're talking about developmental goals, so if you're focusing on India's population growth, it is mainly stabilizing recently, and overall fertility which is declining, but it is not withstanding, but population is continuously growing here because of population momentum. So if you're talking about total fertility rate, that means in life cycle of women how many children will be given birth. So here this total fertility rate in India, it is 2.2 children, but it will soon reach replacement level of about 2.1 children. Okay, so if you're talking about this total fertility rate, which mainly remains higher than national average here. So here why there is higher than national average, because women from rural areas, they do not have proper formal education, and majority of women, they are coming from mainly poor states. So from these poor states, women, they will think like they need to have more children, that will be helpful mainly for sustenance of their family. So if you are talking about changing social norms, India's population stabilization strategy must be adjusted by keeping in mind that rights of women and as well as girls, they need to be respected here. So whenever we are going for one child or two child policy, they are not working good, because we are not identifying rights of women and as well as girls here. So we need to empower girls and as well as women regarding the sexual health and reproductive rights to make better choices that will lead to better health outcomes also. Okay, so we need to understand whether they are getting unwanted pregnancy or whether they want pregnancy or not, and we need to give some better knowledge regarding pregnancy and as well as pregnancy related issues. Okay, so because of this COVID-19, which exposed mainly weaknesses in our healthcare system, so our healthcare system which is very much highly burdened now. Okay, so because of this weaknesses in our healthcare system, now we are seeing serious gaps and as well as challenges in the provisions of information and as well as services which are to be given to these women and as well as girls in sexual health and reproductive rights. So if you're talking about negative social norms, so there are many health system barriers are seen, and we are also seeing that gender inequality. So because of this health system barriers and as well as gender inequality in our society, that mainly hinder universal access of this sexual health and reproductive rights. So these are mainly envisaged under the Program of Action of 1994 by International Conference on Population and Development. So even on this World's Population Day, so United Nations Population Fund, which mainly recognize that even if health system are underestimatingly strained, so we need to curtail health and well-being of women and girls here. Because whenever we are not focusing on women and girls, so the consequences of that will be last a lifetime. So because of this, we need to come up with some progressive policies for maternal health. Okay, so whenever we are coming up with these policies on maternal health, that will finally helpful to improve rates of institutional delivery, and that will also decline maternal mortality rate also. So if you are talking about what are the steps which are taken by government, so first one here is government came with family planning. So in this family planning, it is a one of good thing. So here even a National Family Health Survey of 5 mainly says that contraceptive prevalence have been improved in India. And if you see current government program, that is Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, so government which is mainly doing much efforts to challenge existing social norms, mainly to eliminate gender inequality here. And we are mainly investing in girls' education also through this Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao scheme. But though we are facing number of challenges. For example, here what happened, there are about 2 million adolescent girls between 15 to 19 years. Each year they are getting pregnancy. And next one is near 63% were having unwanted or unintended pregnancy here. So because there are lack of or inadequate access to this sexual health and reproductive rights services for this age group. And even National Family Health Survey 4 says that 15 to 19 years of women or girls, they are not having any access to this contraception. And girls, they are still marrying too young in India. About 26.8% of women who are aged between 20 to 24 years, they are married before they turn 18 years. That is, we are seeing child marriage is prevalent in India. And if you are talking about girls and women, so they face some issues like gender-based violence and as well as harmful practices. So even in Global Gender Gap Report, which is mainly published by World Economic Forum, so in this Global Gender Gap Report, India slipped 28 places to rank 140th place among 156 countries. So if you are comparing in South Asian countries, India is the third worst performer in this Global Gender Gap Report. So in this context, what is need? What can be done? So first one here is we need to place youth, women and girls at the center of policy making and as well as services. So this will lead to some positive ripple effect in our society. And second step that we can do here is if young people and as well as adolescents, they are having access to education, and if they are having some relevant skills and information services, they can make healthy choices. That will helpful mainly to clear our path to achieve our sustainable development goals, because there is increasing access to employment for these girls and as well as women. And next one is women can make informed choices in sexual and as well as reproductive health, and they need to have proper access to services also. So even though if women are making their informed choices, if there is no lack of services, means whatever the decision which are taken, so it will go in vain, right? So they also need services to support their choices, and as well as society, they need to help them. So society should be healthier and as well as more productive. Okay, so these are some important things that you need to focus, and this is just of this topic. And now let us move on to next topic. So before seeing this topic, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. If you want to clear UPSC 2022, we came up with one excellent, highly beneficial and also highly economical course, that is Current Affairs Package, along with mains answer writing practice. So how this course will be useful to clear this UPSC 2022? So one thing you need to remember here is, before entering into examination hall, you need to know at least 1.5 years current affairs for sure. And this is right time to join this course to cover this 1.5 years current affairs in a comprehensive manner. And why you need to focus on this current affairs? Because in prelims, mains and interview, you can get questions from this current affairs. To answer those questions, current affairs will be very, very important. And next one is mains answer writing practice. Many students who are freshers or beginners, they won't focus on this mains answer writing practice, they ignore this. So they might be thinking like, after completing basic NCERTs, I will start this. After completing standard books, I will start this. But you will not complete your syllabus within time. So you need to focus on this mains answer writing practice on the day one of your preparation. So even though if you are doing hard work and if you are not focusing on this mains answer writing practice also, you can clear prelims for sure. But you cannot clear prelims without proper answer writing skills. So in this course, we are mainly focusing on how to improve your answer writing skills. And next one is, if you join this course, we also conduct prelims test on every Sunday and we provide you video explanation part. So in this way, this course it is designed as per demand of UPSC. So finally, I want to say one thing. Please don't take this course as a choice. Try to join this course as soon as possible and achieve your dream of clearing UPSC. And further, the details of this course are given in description box, so please see that once. And apart from this course, we also launched Indian Geography and it is also handled by me itself. So you can also join that course if you are lagging in Indian Geography. So details of this course it is given in description box. And if you want to talk to me directly, you can call to this number 8074765513. Okay, and now let's come back and let us see next topic. Title says a long road for migrant workers. So this article I like the most, and this article gave the entire information regarding what happened since national-wide lockdown that imposed on March 24th and what is the plight of these migrant workers and what are the steps which are taken by Supreme Court to address this issue of migrant workers. So this is the ultimate article, you can read this. So this topic will be important regarding GS paper 2 under polity, and also we can add regarding society because these migrant workers are also belongs to our society, right? So this topic it is very important from our mains point of view. So I will try my level best to make you understand this topic. So if you see context, it mainly says that Supreme Court on June 29th pronounced judgment in migrant laborers case. So what is this migrant laborers case first? So because of abrupt imposition of national-wide lockdown by central government on 24th March, thousands of these landless laborers, they had started walking towards their home states due to loss of employment and as well as loss of income. The Supreme Court took this matter as plight of workers and court laid down numerous guidelines to provide relief to these migrant workers, especially to tackle this program till the threat of this COVID-19 subsides. So two important components are mainly focused by Supreme Court initially. First one is food, second one is travel arrangement. So if you're talking about food, so Supreme Court mainly asked government to provide dry rations. So what is this dry rations? Dry rations means raw rice and as well as pulses, etc. So here dry rations mainly insisted upon no need of identity proof. So Supreme Court mainly said that these people do not possess proper identity cards or ration cards. So because of this, mainly saying that they are not possessing ration cards, they do not deny dry rations. So they need to be provide dry rations. And if you're talking about travel arrangements, so state governments, they are asked by Supreme Court to arrange transportation for workers. And Supreme Court fixed July 31st as deadline for states to implement One Nation One Ration Card scheme, mainly to give subsidized food grains for these migrant workers, and state governments to run community kitchens for migrant workers. So if you're talking about some important directives, here under this National Food Security Act, migrant workers they issued ration cards and entitled to dry rations under various schemes of state government or government programs under this Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme, which came during lockdown period, right? So on June 29th, court affirmed that right to food which comes under Article 12 of Indian Constitution, it should not be violated. So in this context, state government to formulate their own schemes to issue food grains to migrants, and there should be no normative data that would allow states to identify eligible migrants. So court took cognizance of this issue and directed Ministry of Labour and Employment to ensure that a national database for unorganized workers should be come up. And Supreme Court recognized another thing, there is a need of direct benefit transfer for this unorganized sector workers. And Supreme Court given a purposive declaration that in that case there is a need of bulk, this is the bulk judgment it seems. Okay, so whatever the directions which are given by Supreme Court, for example regarding food, regarding dry rations, one nation one ration card scheme, and as well as transport facility, and also ask the state to come up with their own policy how to provide dry rations and as well as community kitchens. So here state government and as well as central government, they do not take much things or much developments here. So because of this, Supreme Court directly asked this Ministry of Labor and Employment to come up with a national database. And also Supreme Court focused on there is a need to provide some financial support through direct benefit transfer also. So whatever the guidelines which are given by Supreme Court are declaratory rather than mandatory in nature. So in this context, what can be done? So what is the need? Here state government, they need to work with the center closely and incorporate whatever the guidelines which are given by Supreme Court mainly to address this plight of these migrant workers. And next one here is, here government need to ensure that government machinery works to its full potential and robust systems are to be developed to withstand this type of challenges. So this is just of this topic. I hope it is clear. So by this we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And don't forget to enroll to this current affairs package. Thank you so much.